Hi, class. Welcome to POLS 2413, Public Policy. This is a broad public policy class where we will look at a lot of different areas of public policy and dive into exactly what public policy is. Um, I'm excited to teach this class. This is right in line with the things that I researched and learned about in my doctoral program. My doctorate is in public policy and public administration. And so um, like I said, this is my bread and butter, so I'm really excited to get the opportunity to teach this. If you're enrolled in this class, you are likely a nursing major or a psych or CJ major, or you're taking it as a social science elective, for one reason or the other. And so, welcome to everyone. The first thing I want to start with is that while the book, which I'm going to show you, uses the Affordable Care Act, as a case study throughout the whole book. We'll touch on that a little bit, but we will also, most of your assignments will be tailored towards policies and implementation in the field that you want to work in. So if you're nursing, of course, the medical field. If you're psych, that's the mental health field, criminal justice, criminal law, things like that. Even ag, there is a lot of public regulations and public policy and government involved in agriculture, and so it does span even business. That's we pretend that we have a free market, but there are a lot of business regulations as well, and that all goes into public policy. So I'm going to start things off by sharing my screen, and just kind of go over the um, making sure this okay. So we're going over this. All right, welcome. So this is what your homepage looks like. I am going to click on the syllabus here, and it will take you to the syllabus. If you want to download it, the Word document is right there. Um, the main things on the syllabus that I need you to know is that you will have a discussion question and some sort of case study. So there'll be two discussion forums or two somethings every week that you will need to do. Likely there will be a discussion question and then some sort of case study. If there's other assignments, then to change things up, I may throw them in there, but they're going to fit into this point slot. So expect to be doing two assignments each week, for 160 points for each of those. We'll have a midterm essay, that's worth 100 points, a final essay that's worth 100 points, and then a digital project where I would like you to um, use AI to combine everything that you have learned through the discussion questions and the case studies and the essays, um, and compile that into some sort of digital presentation. And I mean, you don't have to use AI, but I recently went to a workshop and um, where we had people from industry come talk about how they use AI in the workplace. And I'm going to go ahead and say we're not even close to what they're doing. And especially in um, a local government, uh, mental health fields, the healthcare field itself. And so I want you to get comfortable with using AI, whether we like it or not, or whether we think it's ethical or not. At this point, it is being used in healthcare and in the mental health field and in city government. And so it's here to stay. And so that's what your final project will be dealing with. Final project will be due May 15th. Your essay will be due towards the end of week 4. This class runs each week. There is no spring break, so that's why I do have a due date in the middle of next week. Second 8-week courses don't honor spring break. That's that's one of the drawbacks. I mean, otherwise it would be a 7-week course, right? So, there is a due date of next week for your first module. Please get that done on time. If you struggle to get online assignments done on time, it is going to mess with your grade. And I teach 4 or 5 other classes. So I honestly can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to track every week to see if you're submitting or not, and then be able to put zeros in. And make sure that you see that you're not keeping up. You know what's expected of you. It's here in the syllabus. It'll be in the modules. I'm telling you now in this video. And so keep up. Don't make me go chase you because I won't. It means nothing to me if you turn nothing in and fail this class at the end. If that sounds harsh, I am sorry, but we're not here to waste anyone's time. Um, so that's the gist of the syllabus. I do have a rubric here for discussion questions, um, as well as kind of an outline. It does look better if you download the Word document, but if you're not concerned about looks, this is really what you need to know right here. Moving on to the book and to the modules. So I have syllabus book here as a first module. Put a pin in that. Keep scrolling back to that. The textbook, we're going to navigate right now. The textbook is free. It is a free textbook. It is a PDF that you can access here in Canvas. You can download it by clicking right here on the download button. It should be doable on your phone, depending on how good your phone is. Table of contents right here. If you download it and you click on these areas, it will actually take you to those areas on the PDF. But yeah, there's 7 chapters. We're going to cover all 7 and then wrap up everything together with week 8 and the final. So I do expect you to read through chapter 1 as part of the module. It's not too much to do. We're looking at honestly honestly 10 pages. Um, and some of it's pictures, so it's not too bad. So make sure you read and understand that. Your discussion question this week is over types of public policy. We'll just look at that real quick. Well, let's do it through the module. You're going to pick a policy type, find a specific policy that matches that type that's relevant to your career field. So once again, you can do the ACA if you want. You can look at other medical policy if you're a nursing major. We've already had a response where somebody did a mental health policy. There's plenty of ag law and policy and stipulations and regulations. Same with business, same with criminal codes. Um, the Miranda rights, the amendments that we have that protect your criminal rights are actually part of public policy. And so it all fits. If you have questions or need directions, feel free to email me and reach out. Um, so that's really your first major thing that's due. I do have course introductions here. I'd like to get to know the people in this class, and I'd like you to get to know each other, because I want you to read everyone else's responses to these discussion questions. Moving forward, there will be points for response if I didn't include it this time. Because you'll learn more from each other, or as much from each other as you will from the book and from my expertise. And so listen to what each other has to say. We've got people that span in several majors in this class. Nurses who are, I'm assuming, adults who've been in the field, been in the workplace, have life experience and work experience that they can share. And so learn from each other. I definitely encourage you to do that. And so that is really what I wanted to cover in the Canvas shell. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Um, And just like I said, welcome you to the class and just let you know if you need anything, please email me. Public policy is the bureaucracy. Whether, we can dress it up however we want to dress it up, we can call it whatever we want to call it, but public policy deals with the bureaucracy. One of the things that I like to point out in my government class is that a Supreme Court decision is technically public policy, but the Supreme Court doesn't have an army or an executive to enforce their decisions. And so if a Supreme Court makes a ruling, states, if the federal government doesn't enforce it, states don't have to follow it. And so you are looking for the law that makes it applicable to the states. So for example, Obergefell v. Hodges is a Supreme Court decision that allowed same-sex marriages across the nation, that ruled that not allowing a same-sex marriages is a violation of the 14th Amendment, which says that all rights and privileges belong to everyone, and there really shouldn't be any reasons why they don't, according to the 14th Amendment. Um, and so while that's well and good, there's nobody that could, if a local entity decided to not allow that to happen, there's actually nobody in place to enforce that. And so that is actually why there is the Respect for Marriage Act that gets passed in 21 and 22. It is a bipartisan. It does pass, both houses through both parties, and it does preserve same-sex marriage across the United States. And that is a public policy. If you violate that law, you're going to have the feds to deal with, and you're going to deal with fines and sanctions and, potentially lose your job. And that's really the difference between public policy and criminal law. Criminal law is public policy, but there are plenty of policies that aren't part of the criminal code and don't come with criminal violations. Once again, they could come with fines, they could come with sanctions, consequences. You could be barred from doing certain things, you could lose your job, be put under review. There's all kinds of pieces that fit into that. But public policy, we're dealing with people as a whole. We are, it's about the people. And so one of the things that I want to dispel the notion of is that the bureaucracy is filled with these fat cats who don't do anything, and they're just getting, they're just sitting on their butt getting paid taxpayer dollars. Um, I'm not saying that isn't real, that doesn't ever happen. But especially today, that is not the norm. The norm for public workers, public service workers, people that implement and enforce public policy or work and serve under public policy, they are underpaid, they're overworked, they're stressed out. There are very, 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 very few people who work in healthcare, who work in education, who work in law enforcement, who work in mental health, um, who are not stressed to the max and underpaid. Um, Things are crazy right now. They've been crazy for, I would say, at least 10 years, where funding as just drops off more and more and more each year, and we're expected to do more with less. There is not a professor or a staff member on this campus who is making a lot of money, and most of us are doing 2 or 3 jobs for the price of one. And that is not abnormal. I hate to um, burst anybody's bubble, but if you are an educator across the board in the state of Oklahoma, you are probably overworked and underpaid. If you are a healthcare worker, in the state of Oklahoma, if you are a mental health care worker in the state of Oklahoma, you are probably not as terribly paid as those in education in most cases, but even still applicable and comparable to the work that is done, you could probably still make the argument that you're underpaid. And so I just want to preface that you'll hear a lot of negativity about public policy, negativity about the bureaucracy, but it is what keeps our government functioning and running and provides the things that keep us all functioning as a society. Can you imagine if we had no publicly funded mental health care? That would mean that only people with money would have access to mental health care, to a therapist. Um, you know, and I know that probably everybody needs access to a therapist at times, but definitely those that have struggled in life maybe need that guidance a little more, and a lot of times can't afford it, or can't afford, at least a not government provided or subsidized service. So we'll dive into all of that. Politics wise, yes, public policy is politics because what public policy is and how it gets funded changes based on your political outlook, and it changes based on who's president and who's in Congress. And so we'll talk about all of those things throughout the next 8 weeks. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm best reached via email as I run all over the place. I'm teaching 5 other classes, and so it's I'm a crazy I run crazy all the time, and so email's the best way to get a hold of me. It goes right to my phone, and I usually get back to people pretty quickly unless I miss the email through, Outlook being crazy. So if you don't hear from me, if you email me and you don't hear from me for a day or two, feel free to say, "Hey, I reached out to you a couple days ago. You know, hey," and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you guys for taking this class. I wasn't sure when I added it late how many people would enroll, but I did have some people that needed it. And when I talked to nursing and another major, they said go ahead and do that. So I'm glad you guys enrolled and hope that we learn and kind of, learn more about how our society functions through organization and consistency, hopefully, in this class. So enjoy the rest of your week. And if you are going on spring break, um, get your stuff done beforehand. But I hope you have a good time. I really do. Thank you.